to get to the part of the Nintendo Direct that we were looking forward to, or at least I was looking forward to. So I'm gonna watch this over, just give my thoughts on it, in history and stuff like that.
Hello there, I'm Eiji Aonuma, producer of the Legend of Zelda series. I'm sure a lot of you saw me and thought there might be news about the sequel to the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild game. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to share right now. We apologize. Development is proceeding smoothly, and we should be able to bring you some new information this year. For now, we'll have to ask you to wait just a bit longer. While you're all waiting, however, this Legend of Zelda game will be coming to Nintendo Switch. Please take a look. What you've just seen is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. This game originally released in 2011 on the Wii console, and now it's coming to Nintendo Switch. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword featured a control scheme in which players would use the Wii Remote Plus controller as a sword and the Nunchuck controller as a shield. With the increased processing power of the Nintendo Switch system, the controls here are smoother and even more intuitive. And we've recreated the controls for the sword and the shield here by having the player hold two Joy-Con controllers. The Joy-Con controller in your right hand is the sword. Swing it to have Link swing his sword in the game. The Joy-Con controller in your left hand is the shield. By lifting the controller, you can raise the shield to block enemy attacks. You can perform other actions like using both controllers to wield a bow and arrow. These physical movements add a sense of urgency and tension to combat. But we've also made it possible to play the game with button controls to ensure it can be played in handheld mode or on the Nintendo Switch Lite system. After mulling over how to assign different gameplay elements to different buttons, we decided to apply the sword motions to tilting the right control stick. Tilt the stick down when you want to swing the sword downward. To swing to the right, to the left, or diagonally, just tilt the stick in the respective direction. Here's something else we've been working on. Specially designed Joy-Con controllers. The right Joy-Con controller is themed after the Master Sword, while the left features a Hylian shield motif. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, as the game depicting the earliest story in the Legend of Zelda timeline, details the events around the creation of the Master Sword itself. We hope that people who played the original game on Wii, and those playing it for the first time, will enjoy discovering the origins of the Legend of Zelda.
Alright, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? July.
The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD launches July 16th. Following this Nintendo Direct, you'll be able to pre-order the game on Nintendo eShop. And the specially designed Joy-Con controllers will launch on the game's release date at your local retailers. Many of you may already know this, but The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was the last original console game prior to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild game, and it was still following the established conventions of The Legend of Zelda. However, it gave a glimpse into many features and innovations that would eventually be adopted in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Using the sailcloth to descend in midair, a stamina gauge that depleted as you scaled walls with vines or ran. Even the concept of collecting items to upgrade gear. I hope those of you who've played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will give this game a try as well. Please look forward to The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD.
Alright. I'm gonna put that in the backdrop. All right, so quick bit of history. This is Skyward Sword is the only main title Zelda game that I haven't completed because when I was playing it on the Wii, like the controls, I just got tired, man. It just didn't feel right. I'm not gonna say it was hard. I just got disinterested and I put it down. I'm like, you know what, this just ain't for me. I wasn't a big fan of the Wii. You know, as you got older, the appeal of Nintendo started to dwindle down, and then we started playing PlayStation, Xbox, and all that other stuff a lot more. But I also just started playing Skyward Sword on the emulator because now on the emulator you can map the controls on a you can map the controls on the controller now. So all those fancy directions that you had to do with the Wiimote, you can just emulate them on a 360 controller, which is what I'm using. And I've gotten pretty far in the game. Will I buy it and replay it? I'll probably buy it. Like, I know Nintendo games don't come on sale that often, but I'll probably buy it for like my daughter to play. She likes Zelda, and she couldn't really get into. She got into Breath of the Wild, but she really couldn't get into Skyward Sword because I bought Skyward Sword to play on the Wii U, which you can just use the Wii motes on there. But she didn't like it either. This was just what, last year or 2 years ago when I went and bought the used copy for the Wii to play on the Wii U, and she didn't enjoy it. So hopefully this will let her like get into the game because it's a beautiful game. I love the artwork in it, the concept of the traveling with the flying and the bird and stuff like that. It does get confusing at times, like where you warp to and stuff like that. But I'm gonna get it, you know, and I'll probably play it for myself like next year sometime because I'm like 70% almost done playing it through the emulator. But just my quick thoughts about it. Not really what I was expecting. I was expecting some, you know, more info. I was expecting like the handheld versions of Zelda to come on to the Switch, like a remastered version of Minish Cap or something like that. But we didn't get that. Whatever. It's not a big deal. I'm just not a fan of like if the handheld games. Those are fun. Like I play them every once in a while, but it's like kind of hard to get through because I don't want to like sit there and be staring down at something. Because it takes hours and hours upon hours to beat these games. I'd rather do it on the screen. So that's why like I do have the physical copies of all these games, but if I can play a handheld version on the emulator, I'll do it. You know. So like I'm playing through the original Link's Awakening. Well, not the original one, the was it the Game Boy Color one? I'm playing through that on emulation, even though I have the physical copy. I just don't want to sit there and stare at that tiny screen all day long. So I want to get through that version of Link's Awakening before I purchase the remastered one for the Switch and play that one, which is kind of similar situation here. I would rather beat the one that I started. I put in all these hours on the got my game saves for the emulator. I don't want to just give that up and then start all the way over. I'd rather beat it, let the game leave my mind for a few months, to a year, and then pick this up and then play through that. But hopefully you guys, enjoyed it and go buy the game and check it out. I'm gonna stop this right here and upload this to YouTube. But that's about it. Peace.